God, give me the discernment. Welcome back, real worlders. I want to thank every last one of y'all for tuning in to this channel. This channel is for you. I create these videos for the people out there who want to be the best version of themselves, who want to work on personal development, who want to continue to elevate and get better and better each and every day. With that said and done, man, I just want to thank you. If I impact one person or a million, then I have done my job. You know what I'm saying? If one person watches these videos and tunes into this channel and decides to get better and grow and elevate, then I have done my job. All right, man, I'm gonna stop chit-chatting. So today we're gonna be talking about the 4 agreements and how I implement each and every last one of these agreements into my life. Slowly, I have implemented each and every last one of these agreements into my life. It's a difficult task, but it can be done just like I have done it. The first one is to be impeccable with your word. So to be impeccable is without sin. So anything that goes against yourself is a sin, is considered a sin. So words are powerful, right? So we really only are only supposed to use our words to heal, to bless, and to prosper. If you're not doing either one of those things when you're using your words, then you're not using your words wisely. Especially if you're speaking your words against yourself. So, for example, if you're speaking down on yourself, calling yourself stupid, unworthy words towards yourself, saying you can't get right, and things like that, that is not being impeccable with your word. You are going fully against everything that this agreement stands for. So to be impeccable with your word is to keep your word to yourself. If you can't keep your word to yourself, you can't keep your word with nobody else in the world. You got to keep your word with yourself first. First. So if you say you're going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, don't hit that snooze. Don't hit that snooze button. Wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Keep your word with yourself. That's how you build confidence in yourself. That's how you build self-worth. That's how you really start to get faith in oneself, is to keep your word with yourself. That's the first thing that you do to build confidence, is to keep your word to yourself. So if you set that alarm clock at 5 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Get up, keep your word. So to be impeccable with your word is the first agreement. The second agreement is to don't take anything personal. And this is one that I still personally battle with. It's one of the ones that I had the hardest time really understanding and implementing into my life, is to not take anything personal. Because as human beings, and especially Americans, we take everything personal because we were brought up to think that the world revolves around us, right? So if somebody cuts us off in traffic, we think that that person is going out of their way to make our day worse than what it is. That person is going out of their way to piss me off, when that's the furthest thing of the truth. What I've come to realize is 8 billion people in this world, and there's 8 billion different perspectives, 8 billion different worlds roaming around in this world, right? Everybody got their own stuff going on. That person that cut you off in traffic might have had a baby on the way. They may have had somebody in the hospital. They may have left the stove on. They may got to use the bathroom. There's a number of different things that could be going on as to why they cut you off in traffic. But I can assure you that they are not going out of their way to piss you off. So once you cut that mindset out, that frame of that way of thinking out, and to not take anything personal, it'll make your life a lot easier. We tend to create hell on earth by just our mind itself. Our thoughts will have us creating a hellish type of environment, right? Our thoughts are separate from who we really are. I tend to say this mantra to myself: I am not my thoughts, I am what I do. So my actions is really who I am. What I do is who I am. What I say is who I am. And when I follow my words up with actions, that's who I really am. My thoughts are a separate entity. I could be thinking 1,001 different bad things, and those things never ever happen. I know you've been in a situation where you thought the worst would happen in the situation and it never manifested, right? Because our thoughts will drive us crazy if we let them control us. So to not take anything personal is to not, the world doesn't revolve around you, right? So to not take things personal, you'll avoid creating hell on earth for yourself. That person that cut you off in traffic, they got some other stuff going on. You stay in your lane, they stay in their lane. Well, now they in your lane now. But let them go. Just assume that they have an emergency and you're doing them a favor. The third one is to not make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. This is another one that was very difficult for me to implement into my life. It was very hard for me to understand and to implement. But then when I broke it down and I realized when you ask questions, that eliminates assumptions. And I remember a teacher one day told me to make assumptions is to make an ass out of yourself. That's why ass is in the word assumption. I never got that joke at the time. I thought my teacher was corny. And you probably think I'm corny for cracking that joke. But it makes a lot of sense now that I'm 34 years of age, right? Because if you're making assumptions and you don't ask questions to clarify what that person meant or to get a better understanding, you are making an ass out of yourself, right? So to avoid making assumptions, if you are unsure about anything, I remember working at a job, right? I got fired for making assumptions because during the training process, right, I was afraid to ask too many questions because I'm thinking I'm getting on these folks' nerves. You know what I'm saying? They got other things to do. I just asked them 30 questions an hour ago, so let me try to figure it out. Let me assume what I'm doing on this computer is right. Knowing I just got hired 3 weeks ago, and I could not in any type of world know what's really going on this computer and what's going on and how I'm supposed to do what I need to do that relates to this job. And I'm just assuming that what I'm doing is right. So instead of asking questions, I went with my move, and that got me kicked out the door, fired, because I made assumptions and I didn't ask enough questions to get clarification as to what I need to do. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Most of the time, people want to help you, especially if it involves their job later down the line, like supply chain. Your job directly affects the next person's job. So if you ask questions to avoid them from having to go back and redo your work, then it saves them time. That one little question to clarify may have saved them 30 minutes to an hour, and now they get to go home on time. But if you don't ask questions and you screw it up and they're your trainer, now they got to redo your work when you could have avoided all that by just asking questions. And most of the time, people don't mind answering questions. People really like to share their knowledge. People really like to share their experience. So now I'm inquisitive. I'm curious. I ask 1,001 questions. How you do that? How did you do that? So what type of experience did you have to get in the position you in now? And people are really, really, really easily give you that information because most people don't ask questions. Most people just assume. So the third one is don't make assumptions. Don't make an ass out of yourself. And the last one, the final one that wraps all of this up is to always do your best, right? Like Lil Baby said, my mama always told me, don't get no poor performance. Whatever you do, always do your best. Put your best foot forward. Take it day by day. Know what I'm saying? If you are a painter, make sure there is no blotches in your paint jobs. Make sure you don't miss no spots. Make sure it's even. Make sure it looks immaculate. If you take out the garbage, if you're a garbage disposal agent, right? Make sure you having fun throwing that garbage and doing your best and making it look fun. Have fun with it, but do your best. Put your best foot forward. Whatever it is that you do, you clean toilets. Make sure it's spotless. Make sure it ain't no spots on your toilet bowls. Make sure that everything that you do is immaculate. So when somebody comes in and grades your work, or if you're in the service business or you selling a product, they have no reason to complain about your service or your product. Always do your best. Always put your best foot forward. And that's the 4 agreements and how I implemented them into my life. I hope this helps you. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Vici World, Real Worlders. I'm out. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day.